Parity.
A Walkman, with the headphones. I've got one of those. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to roll. Fire away.
Mike, this probably sounds like a dumb question, but despite all the stuff that we make about the quarterback situation, how much more efficient is your offense when you run the ball the way you did on Friday?
Much more. I mean, that's not even close to being a dumb question. I've gotten a lot of dumb questions over the last 4 weeks, not from y'all, but from my buddies I grew up with. But that is not a dumb question. You're 100% correct.
Is there a way then to continue what we saw in Provo? Obviously, Garrett goes out. Is there a way to remanufacture some of the successes that you guys had?
Give me some more detail.
Like on the ground, like the offense maybe hasn't ran the ball as well with Allen because he's not as much of a runner. Are there ways that you guys can replicate?
You're exactly correct.
Is there a way that you can replicate some of that success despite Allen?
You're way too young to know, but Oklahoma ran the ball forever as the quarterback, and it wasn't Tom Brady. It was Jamel Hallway and Charles Thompson and Steve Davis and Thomas Lott and guys like that. So I'm not going to pretend to tell you that we can invent a way to create quarterback runs with certain players, but we need to try to do as much as we can. But there's no question about it. You can look across the country at pretty much every level, and now including the NFL. If you're playing with a quarterback that is a runner or a run threat, your rushing game is going to be better. Just a numbers game.
Felt like you also used two-back formations more than we've seen before. Is that something that y'all think can help open up the ground game for Ollie and those guys?
No, that's just us trying to take advantage of guys that we think can make plays and can save some reps on other positions. But essentially, when you put a back in the backfield, when you put two backs in the backfield, it's like putting a back in a tight end. It's a numbers game. I mean, they played it the same way they would have if there was a tight end playing.
Kind of like the backup quarterback, the third guard is always my favorite player. How'd Kawicki do?
He did pretty good. Played good. I mean, the offense exceeded expectations, in my opinion, in that game. They had an excellent game plan, carried it out. Players which had been very attentive and practiced really well the last 2 weeks, and that's the results that they got. Really, the team in general. Defense beat up a little bit, a little tougher at times, but guys like Kawicki that practiced quite a bit last week played pretty good.
What'd you think of Fields?
Played pretty good. But we've seen that, right? We've seen it since August with him. Has ability and don't know. He's never been in games, but, that environment we played in was as difficult of environment that we've played in since I've been a coach here. And he just went out and played like it was no big deal.
What did you see on that last defensive play, having some time to look back at it?
Say it again?
What did you see on that last defensive play where they went down and
the first thing is we missed 3 tackles. Okay, we had two opportunities, one to get him on about the 12 or 13-ish, one to get him on about the 9, which would have, I don't know how much time was left then, like 12 seconds, 14, something like that. So then you still lived to play maybe 3 more plays, 2-ish, 3-ish, whatever. That would have helped. It was a busted route on their part. A guy did a good job they busted a route, came back, reacted, quarterback found him, made a play. But in the end, we have to find a way to get more pressure on the quarterback, and that would have helped.
Thought back to the Arkansas game, in overtime, 4th down, Kendall goes in and makes that stop. Are you seeing that same kind of in post game? You're talking about the refusal to lose, just the competitiveness on the defense on the team. Are you still seeing that? You're playing different guys. Guys are hurt, but are you still seeing that kind of refusal to lose?
They've been great.
Next play?
I said this. I might have said it in the post game. I don't know. I told somebody, but if you'd have been in our practice the last 2 weeks, you'd have thought we were 6-0. And my job is to evaluate the coaches and the players and myself after every game. Our guys played a good football game, and we had a good plan. Coaches did a good job in this game. Losing is not something we want, but my job is to evaluate the situation every week. And so from that standpoint, they were good. We had some newer guys playing positions on defense, and that did hurt us some. Okay, we had to switch some safeties to different spots, and they're still playing safety, but they're not that safety. Okay, it's different. So that hurt us at times. I mean, I'm not going to say it didn't, but we could have tackled better. Okay, that would have helped us. And then we got out of place on a couple fits. But to answer your question, they've been really good. Their competitive nature has been good.
You've seen that, like, in the ride home in the days since that game. It's been a couple of days, obviously, you know, losing a heartbreaker. You're still seeing that kind of
Well, I haven't seen them,
Okay.
right? I mean, I saw them Friday or whatever day, Saturday morning at breakfast. They're like any other college kid in the morning. They don't want to talk to anybody. And they get on the plane and come home, and I haven't seen them. I've seen, from a distance, but I'll see them today. It'll be the first time. I don't expect anything from them other than what they've done at this point. So what we have done as a staff and what I have done is tell them the truth over the last 3 to 4 weeks after each game, okay? You guys didn't play very well and we coached awful. Or coaches really did a pretty good job. You guys didn't play as good as you're supposed to. Or you guys played great. The coaches were awful. And so that's what I do with them. And I think they are responding to that. I think that they're eager to get better each week. Now, it's coaches talk, but also you don't have a choice. We're playing on Saturday, 2:30.
You were asked about the last play, but that whole last drive. I mean, I thought the quarterback run was the biggest play, but when you went back and analyzed that, were there things we probably should have done this differently?
Not really. We knew exactly what they were doing. We knew it was 2-minute drill. They stayed to the field and trying to run daggers and benders to the field, so we were in coverages for that. And we were fine all the way until the 32 or 33-yard scramble. And we got too far up the field on the pass rush. Went all the way around the corner. Went to an aiming point of 14 yards deep. Can't do that. You don't want to get past 9.5. We ran around the corner and let him step up and take off and go. And then we missed a tackle. We had him for 12 yards. And we missed a tackle, and he ran for another 19. That's what happened.
The fourth down play, too, that was close.
We actually did we had a good pass rush there and moved him, and he got out of the pocket and found a guy and made a good throw. The guy caught it. He got it by a yard. It was good. He was clear. But, there's different ways to look at that. People will say you could defend that differently. You could. I mean, it's the chess game of football. But at that particular time, we were in great shape. You just don't want them to get a big one. So you got to be careful about clamping down, because at that time they were in not quite desperation, but certainly the odds would have been in our favor at that particular time. Okay, it's like I had a better hand than you did. Now, we hadn't done the river card yet, but right now my percentage was a lot higher than yours. So we didn't give up a big one. And at that point, that was before the scramble. They were still across the 50. So the clock is your friend at that time. You can look at this situation and go back forever and say what and if, and you'll never get it right unless you can change the outcome.
Well, and the sad thing on the quarterback run, that was a young player. That's Puasa that got too far upfield, and he's just
Everybody else was already tired, and we put somebody in. Jalil's not in the game. Jalil's not suiting up, and so we put him in, and he's a young player, and it's not, the game's not his fault, but that's what happened. He needs to, when he gets up there, he's got to come under and force the quarterback that way, not this way.
Going back to Rodney, got 5 games left. He's got 3 and can still redshirt. Is that something you start thinking about now, or is that something you cross that bridge when you get there, sort of thing?
Which part?
Rodney potentially redshirting him or not redshirting.
Those decisions are made by the players, not me, not anymore.
Mike, what about Ollie? I know you talked about him after the game on Friday, but I mean, clearly he's dealing with banged up injuries, whatever. But as hard as he's run, and I know this year just in total has probably not been the easiest for him. Just what's been your impressions overall of what he's done for you guys?
He's been great. We started out the year with really, really heavy boxes, difficult times for him to run. He's continued to, I thought there was a game or so he could have run harder, and I think just the overall, my personal opinion is the overall wear and tear and just maybe a little bit of the, where do I go wore on him a little bit. I don't know because I haven't had a specific conversation with him directly related to that. But then the last probably 4 games, he's run really hard. Like there's times that there's not much there and he's blowing through there and he's jumping over people. And I thought his effort the other day on 4th down was excellent. So he's been really good. His attitude's been good. And look here, we can call it like it is, okay? We can just sit up here and BS each other. But Ollie loves Oklahoma State, and he really wants to win, and he's highly competitive. I mean, you can see it in him. Y'all watch him in the games. I mean, when he's jawing with people, it's not because he's for show and tell. Like, he's the guy in the playground that never wants to lose and pick up basketball. And he loves that side of it. But he also knows that his future is based on his production level, based on the opportunity he has on every play. And I think that he's maximized that, certainly over the last month.
You've talked in the past about his maturity, and I know that hits on a lot of different things, but it sounds like he's taken a pretty mature approach to
Who's that?
Ollie.
He's been excellent. Here's the deal, Jenny. We haven't had any issues with anybody on the team. And, I mean, I thought I was going to have to go into, counseling and parental control after a while, but these guys have been excellent. And they've been easy to coach. They've been attentive. Their energy's been good. They're eager to learn. They made growth. Like somebody brought that word up the other day, and I thought I would use it to make me sound smart. They made growth over the last 2 weeks. And what I'm going to tell them today in the meeting is the same thing I'll tell you right now is I need you to grow for the next 6 days. And then that gives us the best chance to play at the highest level we can Saturday. If they'll do that, we'll be fine.
Mike, I thought Presley seemed, you didn't play as much as usual. You didn't go to him as much as usual. And then the last drive or last quarter, whatever it was, he was great. And he'd been the hero if you'd have held him off. Does he remind you of Malcolm in terms of longevity and contribution to the program and those kinds of things?
Yeah, so they bracketed him some, kind of squeezed him, and which is smart on their part, kind of tried to take him out of some stuff. He's not in as he's always played 75 plays, and now he's out some. He's beat up. We try to protect him a little more than we did. The amount of years that in the special teams and the hits and the crucial plays in critical times that he makes and what he does in practice is what you're saying is crazy good. I told him yesterday, not him, I haven't found him yet, but I told the trainers and I told Dunn, I don't even want him practicing this week. He's going to be the same guy on Saturday if he practices 4 days this week or not, to a certain extent. And he needs a break. He needs, and he won't do it. Like, he's mad when he doesn't get to go back in games. At the West Virginia, I think it was, he wanted to go back in, and I said, I don't want you back in the game. And at practice, I try to get him to get out of drills. He doesn't want to get out of drills. So I'm not going to let him. You know how the trainers take a young man's helmet if he's got a ding head? Well, I'm just going to take his helmet. But he needs a break. So that's what we're going to do is give him a break this week.
But him and Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah, I guess I
similarities
forgot
with-
to say. Yeah, both undersized, both like little rubber balls, competitive, never get tired, athletic, continue to make plays. You're like, wow, both those guys do that. And there's I don't know I don't pay attention to the NFL draft prospects of players because it's not anything that I control. I don't know where he stands on any of that, but somebody will take him at some point and he'll get into camp and then they won't be able to cut him. They'll go into meetings and they're like, well, we can't cut him. That'd be my guess, which is the same thing that kind of happened to Rodriguez.
What do you think of Baylor?
Playing good. Baylor's a team that lost several games but had a chance to win. They got down a bunch to BYU and battled back. Certainly could have beaten Colorado. Got behind by 17 against Utah and battled back. They could have had, I don't even know how many games they've won. I hadn't paid attention, but they could have won 3 more just from what I've seen. Their quarterback is playing better now, and they're actually playing together. They got in a shootout out here the other day. It was like the old days in the Big 12 with Tech. But they're playing better, and they could have won 2 or 3 more games pretty easily.
Is what Dave Aranda's doing by calling the defenses on game day any harder or less difficult than what you did when you were calling offense as a head coach?
I don't know because I haven't done it in so long. I don't want to do it. I don't want any part of it just on the time. I'm not sure how guys get that accomplished, I'll be honest with you. Unless you're just at a school where you have better players than everybody, it doesn't make a difference what plays you call. It was a tremendous workload for me personally. It put me in a video room at 6 o'clock every morning, and it kept me there till 11 o'clock at night in order to do what I needed to get done. Now, obviously, there might be other people smarter than me. They don't have to spend that much time. But it was a tremendous workload for me, and that's why I quit doing it. Plus, I don't know if I was any good at it anyway. But I can't speak for any other coaches that are doing it. I just know for me, it was a tremendous workload.
Would a defensive coach need to spend as much time comparatively as an offensive coach watching?
I'm going to say yes. I mean, again, I've not been in those rooms full time. I spend a lot of time in there as a head coach, but not full time. So it'd be almost unfair for me to say, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be close. Now, there's not as many calls. Yeah, I mean, an offensive coordinator is going to go into a game with 40 to 45 calls. A defensive guy will go into a game with 10, 12 maybe.
What do you want to see from Allen this week? He's back to the starting quarterback. I mean, what do you want to see from him now that he's had another game under his belt?
I want him to compete. I want him to sit in the pocket. I want him to move his weight forward, not backwards. I don't think there'll be an issue with the competitive side of it, but I want him to move forward, not backwards when he's in a passing mode. And I want him to distribute the ball where it needs to be based on what Baylor decides to give us.
Allen's energy seemed different at times during the middle of the game. I don't know, did he seem different to you, maybe like more relaxed at times?
In this last game?
Yes.
I mean, when in the sideline or something?
Just, as when y'all got first downs and stuff, just felt like maybe
I mean,
he
it
seemed
could
different
be,
than he's
but
been the last couple
if
weeks.
it's going on the sidelines, I don't know because I'm never over there really. And if it's happening on the field, I'm probably not watching that side of it. I mean, but he was in a very difficult situation, okay? And we said, we need you to get back in and fight your ass off. And he didn't have any issues, and there wasn't, college football nowadays, the guys always said, I ain't going in. Y'all didn't like me, I ain't playing. I mean, they can do anything they want nowadays. But he was awesome to jump back in. From that standpoint, I would agree with you now that I think about it. He buckled up, got loose, went in, started playing. And I thought he was competitive when he played.
Would Smith be able to run the offense if he had to go in for an emergency or something?
Who?
Smith?
Could he? I mean, he's been practicing.
No, would he be able to run the offense if,
Well, I mean, we don't know. I mean, we honestly don't know. But he's been practicing, and he's getting reps. But he's not quite ready, is I guess would be the best way to put it.
What have you seen from him since he's gotten on the campus? He started the year fourth string, probably would never expect to play. Now he's a play away. What have you kind of noticed about
Well,
him?
we're giving him more reps, and kind of what we saw in high school. He runs around. He's going to be elusive. He's an accurate thrower. But the role that he's played up until a couple weeks ago, you don't know much because he's looking at cards and going against the other team's defense. So you don't know a lot about him.
Did Garrett Wilson need to
He
get
third-team guy.
some reps now?
Mhm. Yep.
Mike, you had a defense that was missing arguably its three most dynamic players. Two questions. First of all, is there a chance like Nick and Trey might be available sometime soon, or what's your sense of their availability?
Are you talking about Nick Martin?
Yeah.
No, Nick's going to be out a while. Yeah, and the other guys, I don't know. I haven't seen them, and they get reevaluated every day.
Then my second part of that is to have been without those guys and to have your defense play pretty strong game. Obviously, the last
played
the last
pretty
play
good.
was not what you wanted, but to take a team undefeated to that point, how does that happen? To be without such dynamic playmakers and then find yourself thinking, "Oh, defense did okay."
Well, I don't want to. If I say it, you'll say it's coaches talk, and then y'all won't come to my press conference anymore. So, the culture that we have with these guys is they understand how to stay the course, no matter what. And don't look at me now. I'm not taking the credit for it, but there's a lot of things that we do that we've done a long time. We have people that are involved to help them keep them mentally focused. And with young people nowadays, it's so different than it ever has been. And if they weren't 100% all in and committed to what I'm saying, they would not have played like that there. Because most everybody that follows Oklahoma State football, including the people in this room, would have thought, hey, on that morning, somebody said that it was a 11.5-point spread or whatever. Nobody would have given us any chance to probably even cover that spread based on where we were at with the situation we had, because I'm not sure that those guys even knew that the other guys on defense weren't playing. And so the way they played, with the exception of a few things that I said that we need to do better, was pretty impressive and overachieved in that particular situation, particularly when you put new guys in playing in that environment. Right? I mean, y'all were there. Who all was there? It was pretty impressive, right? A pretty impressive environment. They're a great addition to this league from a football standpoint for sure.
Kobe Hilton's a guy. He was playing more the last 3 or 4 weeks, even before some of these injuries this last game. What have y'all seen in him, and what has he meant for this defense, especially an older guy?
He's still learning on the run. He missed like 4 or 5 weeks. He was injured and didn't get to practice, and he's catching up now. There's a few things he did in this game that he needs to do better, which he can, but he brings a lot of energy and a lot of toughness and a lot of competitive nature to our defense.
Do you think his experience has allowed him to sort of come in, even maybe
Yes.
raw?
Yeah, I mean, he's veteran, been around, played college football. The game didn't get too big for him there. Compared to when you play a young player for the first time, like he was fine. And those are the guys that you need. That's why you'd like to have a lot of veteran players playing.
Mike, you gotta go 3-2 at least to be bowl eligible. How important is it to keep that streak alive?
Well, it's important that we try to do the best we can and grow and win this game. And obviously, if we don't do that, then it becomes even more difficult. I've had a couple people ask me that. Beyond that, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I have to evaluate the situation based on the hand that we've been dealt each week. So I don't think it would be fair for me to say that it's not important. But most things that go on in society today, somebody will talk about them, and 2 days later, nobody cares anymore. Unfortunately, that's the way the world works. So we would love to play the best of our ability this week and find a way to get one more notch closer. But we also have to try to continue, I'm use the word again, to grow as a program with where we are each week, because our job as coaches is to make sure we play a little better each week. And over the last month, we didn't. There's 2 or 3 games that we didn't play better. We went backwards. So we failed as coaches. We stepped up and played better this week. And that's more important to me now than anything else.
Parker Robertson, you talk about culture. Is he basically one of the best examples?
Yeah, it's awesome, yeah. Comes in and, he's been a special teams guy and been a third-team guy on defense and had to play the whole game. And, I mean, he probably had double-digit tackles. I don't know how many he had. And he missed 2 or 3 or whatever. But he's never really been in there for 75 plays and said, hey, there's certain defenses we call and you're the primary run fitter. He hadn't been there. But here's what he did. He didn't flinch. He competed when he made a mistake. He understood it. We fixed it. He got better, and he played hard. And that's all you can ever ask. The one thing we talk about in recruiting, which obviously that's out the window now, but we used to say, you come here, we only ask you to play as hard as you can. That's it. If you do that, we're going to support you no matter what, and that's what we're doing.
He also read the trick play, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'll give our defensive staff credit. BYU runs 2 trick plays every game. And I think they only ran 1 in this one. Is that correct? And whenever you run a trick play on offense and it doesn't work, you're like, you don't do it again. But the point being is, we practiced it. Our staff did a good job, and I've heard them telling them during the week, guys, look, they run 2 a game. So this is where they do it, 35-yard line to the 15-yard line. It's not a secret. It's what they do. They do it. We worked it. They hit it on, the scout team hit it on our defense like 5 times. And then last week they stopped it once, and sure enough, Parker was the guy they ran it against, and he probably listened and paid attention and studied tape, and he had a good result.
Who gets credit for the throwback to Bowman? That was out of the, nobody would have picked that one on the.
That's done. He gets credit for that one. I would like to take credit for it, but too many people know it wasn't me.
It feels like that play always gets tackled at like the 5 or something. Was it cool to see a quarterback finally get in the end zone on one of those?
Yeah, he did a good job. You know, he kind of wobbled down there and looked like he had a flat on his left side and weaved in and touched the pylon. And you know, when I saw it happening, which I mean, you might know or you might not know, but they're good on defense inside the 2-yard line. They have senior defensive linemen, and they're pretty good. So there's no guarantee that you're going to get in. So you kind of want to see it happen. So I was kind of like watching the, you know, I can't see as good, but I was kind of watching to see. And when he did that, and they reviewed it, I think they reviewed it, didn't they? Yeah. And I thought, well, he might have stepped out and whatever, but it worked out good. It's good call.
Your offensive
Dunn
line.
had a good call also on 3rd and 18 on the underneath screen to Brennan. That's a good call.
On that, I was going to actually ask on that play and the.
See how smart I am? I even knew what you were going to say. That's AI. I have AI.
When I went back and watched on the screen to Brennan and that play to Bowman, the offensive line did a great job selling and getting in. You know, a lot of times you see on those plays, maybe they get upfield too fast or just.
You're exactly the same thing that I do when I actually, because I love the offensive linemen, okay? And here's what they do. They like to lead a parade, right? So when it works, they like doing this, and they just run by everybody. And then the guy runs back there and tackles the quarterback. That's happened here a number of times. So I go in the meeting, and I say, guys, look, here's the deal, okay? You guys are like pigs on ice. Nobody wants to see you run anyway, okay? So the first guy you see wearing another jersey, peel off and go blocking. It looks better, okay? And the next guy do the same. And they did a good job of that. Coach Dickey had got them coached up, and they peeled off, and they built a wall, and it worked out good.
Is Dickey still having to do a lot? And these guys are older; they've been around for 20 years. Is Dickey still having to do a lot in practice and meetings and stuff to keep them getting better each week? You think?
And it's a 24/7 process. Never enough. Those guys have a difficult job. With all the different 3-down fronts, 4-down fronts, all the movements and the stuff nowadays, it's a 24/7 job for those guys to continue to get ready to play.
Mike, I think I asked you, it's maybe been a month or so ago, about the parity in all of college football, not just the Big 12. It seems like it's only gotten bigger since we talked about that. And you made the comment that you still think there's going to come a time where the really high-level halves will eventually win over with the money that they have. Are you still of that mind that eventually happens, or?
Yeah. So this is like the 3rd year that we've talked about the parity in college football. As soon as the portal started, free agency is when I felt like, I said it, when people can move around, things are going to start falling in place, and there's going to be more parity than ever. You're seeing that now. And you're seeing the effects of teams that have a big portal year and how much can they pick up and actually execute, and then teams that lost a lot of guys, and can they recover? But the one thing that I've said in here, and I'm going to say it again, is and this answers your question, there needs to be a college football commissioner. With the amount of money, there's plenty of money to go around right now. So there needs to be equality, and if we don't get equality, we could end up with 8 to 10 teams that are so far financially enhanced than the other 25 or 30 teams that it could cause some disruption and people actually wanting to watch games anymore. Because right now, college football, blue chip stocks going through the roof because everybody watches the game because there's no telling who's going to win. And now, so it's turned into the NFL. And that's why the pattern we need to take, which I'm repeating myself from a week or two ago, is the NFL model. It's been how many years? 52 years NFL? been around, not the AFL.
NFL?
The NFL.
103.
No, I mean,
Modern day.
the modern NFL.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, 50,
58.
okay, 50-ish years. And that model has gone through the roof, right? And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's plenty of money for the players. There's plenty of money for the owners. There's plenty of money for everybody. And that's the way college football is now. And we have to get one person that can be a college football commissioner and govern the conferences, and then start to getting contracts and agreements and employment deals and all the things that we need. Because the one scary thing that can happen, I'm glad you asked me this, because these are things I think about. So you can have a team that, let's just say a team that goes 8-4 this year, whatever. Okay, they have a pretty good year. And then at the end of the year, for some reason, they get wiped out in the portal. Like 4 of their 2 deep wideouts leave, and all 5 corners leave. And then you're forced to try to go in the portal and recover that, which is not going to happen unless you're dealing with $25 to $30 million. That's what it'd take to buy that, basically buy a team. And that can really set somebody back. That's why I said 2 years ago, the ADs are the ones that are going to have challenge now, knowing when to fire a coach and when not to. Because if the coach might be a good coach and he gets wiped out in the portal, you can't win. I mean, it's going to be extremely difficult. So it'll be interesting, but in my opinion, over the next 18 to 24 months, we need to create some boundaries and establish a college football commissioner so we can have equality. And then, sure, we got to get to the SEC and the Big Ten because they have all the money right now. But that money won't be there over a 3 to 5 year period if they're taking it all and they're dominating and nobody else is winning, and the viewership on the West and the East Coast is not there. Then does Fox and ESPN and Peacock want to show games anymore? I don't know.
What do you think of what do you think of OU's struggles so far this season in the SEC?
I got my own problems. I think shit. I saw part of their Texas game. Let's see who they play Saturday. I did see part of the South Carolina game because I was watching on the plane coming home. And South Carolina's got a good defensive line. I saw that much. I don't know. I got enough problems of my own that I'm trying to work on. Hadn't thought much about it.
Back to what you were saying a second ago, how important is player retention for you, especially when you're having a year that you weren't expecting, and you guys might be thinking about jumping ship?
As young as you are, you should know better than that. Player retention is based on money. I'll give you an example. If you're playing on our team and we go 3-9, and right now you're making $12,000, and we say, hey, if you come back, we'll pay you $250. What are you going to do? Player retention is probably 90% built on money now, not other things. It's changed.
7 games into the season, how do you feel like y'all approach? And last year, 10-win season, y'all broke even. Lost 10, got 10 guys in. How do you feel like y'all approached the portal?
We have no clue. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna. You guys get tired of me repeating this, but if I say it enough, maybe somebody will listen. We need employment contracts. You sign a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal, or a 4-year deal. And I don't need to go through the whole thing because y'all are tired of me saying it. If I'm a 5-star, I'm probably signing a 1-year deal because I'm going to renew my deal at the end of the year. I'm a free agent. I'm what Dak Prescott was at the end of the year, or whenever, last year. So I get the call, I can do whatever I want. So if we have contracts at the end of the year, at least we as coaches know who can leave and who can't. Right now we don't know that. We don't have any idea. So if you just put yourself in my shoes, we're trying to fill a roster that's going to get cut to 105 is what she says, correct? So we already have to get rid of 35 players. Because we have 140 on our team. So we have to get 35 of them we have to get rid of because we don't have a choice. And you have incoming high school seniors, okay? You got to figure out how to do that, and you got to do it by position because you don't want to get cut and lose a massive number of players at one position. And then you don't know who's going to go in the portal, who's not going to go in the portal, and how you have to replace them, all while they've shortened the portal window, which everybody's in agreement we need that. And the spring portal has not been as productive for most teams across the country as what the fall portal has been. That's another reason why that they need to get contracts. So like if we have let's just say we have all of our running backs on a multi-year contract. Well, then we know who to replace. We got to replace Ollie. He's going to go to the pros. So we know we need one guy. We're going to get a high school kid or we're going to get a portal kid. At least we know. When nobody's under a contract, we don't know who's leaving and who's staying. That's where you have an issue.
Have your QR codes and the other NIL things, have they been as successful as you maybe
Yes.
had hoped so far?
QR codes have been good, been really good. Guy who thought of that was brilliant.
What's kind of the
You didn't pick up on that.
Was Kenyatta coming out here, or is that
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if you can even disclose this, but numbers-wise, has it been, I guess, financially, have you been able to get a good return on that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I thought that's what you're asking
Yeah,
me.
it is. I
Yeah.
didn't know if there was a number.
It's been really, it's been good. And when is it the end of December when whatever, January or something, we'll, do a withdrawal or whatever and distribute it, whatever. By then, I'll probably be able to tell you how much it was. But it's benefited. It's benefited us.
Are you just, with this day and age where guys can move around every year and there's so much focus on the playoffs, you talked about the maturity of this team and how you said team practice like they were on 6-0.
Yeah, they've been awesome.
Is this rare? Like, is it rare to have a group of guys that can collectively buy in this much in this season?
This group's been really good in that area. And if they weren't, I'm telling you, if they weren't really good, I'd tell you, I'd say, hey, they've been good. They could be better. They've been really good. So we're in a different time. We don't need to get into all that, right? So what keeps young people happy and engaged and wanting to compete and grow and get better? Somehow you've got to get them convinced that there's something beyond what they're doing each week. So like we talked about Ollie and maybe Kendall Daniels and Nick Martin and Colin Oliver, guys that could there's two categories here, and that's why I'm telling you this, in my opinion, since you asked me. There's guys that have a reason for what they do based on long term. And then you have the other 98.6% that aren't going to play in the pros and make any money at all. So aren't those the guys you got to get going, right? Because if you're if you're going to be a first round pick, you're going to be motivated because the better you play and the better the higher you perform, you're going to make more money. And that's what's driving these young men nowadays is money. Don't kid yourself. That's what's driving them. And so we've been fortunate that we have a good group of men in our culture that are pulling everybody else along because I can't do it. Like I can't stand up here and give the best Newt Rockney speech and everybody want to go out and practice their ass off. I just don't know how to do that. Plus they get tired of hearing me talk. I mean, I talk to them all the time since August. They don't want to hear me anymore. So what you're saying is exactly right. And so far, this group has been excellent. Good? All right.